All right, Russia issuing a threat to the U.S. military, saying it will now treat American aircraft as targets if they are found operating west of the river in Syria. Now, the heated rhetoric comes after a U.S. warplane shot down a Syrian government jet, making it clear that America is willing to challenge the Assad regime and its allies. Russia and Syria are both calling it a, quote, act of aggression. But the military says they were just trying to protect U.S.-backed fighters on the ground. Joining me with some insight into this story is former U.S. intelligence officer and underground movement CEO Jason Beardsley. Jason, good to have you back on the program. Is this some kind of proxy war that we're entering with with Russia over Syria?
Well, Trish, thanks for having me. You know, proxy war would be kind of where this goes if this was utter chaos. These are kind of deliberate steps in the process. So I think what this is really proxy negotiation. These are diplomats laying their cards out. This is the second test by Syria. You remember the chemical weapons test? You can look at that as a pass from the administration. We went in, we bombed their airfields. They've ratcheted this up one step beyond that to say, hey, are you willing to go this far in your investment? And the answer from the U.S., as you point out, is a firm resolve, and it's a yes, we're willing to defend our troops.
And we want al-Assad. Let's not forget what the end game is here. We want Assad gone, Jason. And President Trump has made that clear over and over again. But this is where we are at odds right now with Russia. So how does this play out? Is Putin getting a hint?
This is, that's the conflict. It's been an absolutist position for a while now, but if you watch these negotiations carefully, the Trump administration has looked like what it's created is we're looking for stability in the region first and foremost. Assad will become sort of secondary to that. Primary is the stabilization. Remember, we've got troops on the ground right now, so U.S. forces that are aligned with some of these Sunni coalition-led forces, and that's why we're protecting that. We're protecting them when we take the U.S. air power and we level it against Syrian air power. And again, that's firm resolve from the administration. But I don't think the long-term play is really first and foremost about Assad as much as it is about regional stability. This is about pleasing the Russians.
But how do you have regional stability with Assad there at the helm?
So that's a great question. This is about great powers sitting down at the table and coming up with a compromise that works. It's going to work for the Saudis, Jason, the Turks, the Iranians.
I hear you on this, and I get it. You want some stability in the region, but I keep going back to the fact that this is a man that we know has used chemical weapons on his own people. How do you keep him in power? Isn't this central to the whole idea of stability? You need him out.
This is difficult, but I will say this. What the U.S. has stated almost vociferously is the people and the president and both administrations, Obama administration, Trump administration, we are not ready to go to war to depose Bashar al-Assad. That's almost a clear statement. So the end game there is if we are absolutists about that position, then we have to be willing to put our forces in conflict against Russia in this region. Russia has an investment in keeping its proxy state. Now, the compromise looks like, how do we protect the Kurds? How do we protect the Sunnis? How do we protect our investment in Iraq? And the way we protect those is by stabilizing the regions that we first and foremost have already bled for, sacrificed for, and fought for. We'll get to Assad down the road. That's a longer problem, but we are not going to be looking at a deposition of Assad anytime soon. And what's now happening is the generals, strategists, national security people are looking at what does a light balkanization of this area look like. We cannot be absolutists about these borders. That's starting to become more clear.
I look at Syria and I say, look, this is in part why you do have so many problems right now. This was allowed to happen. They crossed the line. We didn't do a darn thing about it, and it just seems like this is an opportunity for us to exert more influence. And I hear what you're saying, and we have to be careful with our resources. But this is one that we may find ourselves having to do a bit more on, rather than letting Vladimir Putin get the upper hand.
You're absolutely right. It's very tough, and you make a great point, which is we can't forget how we got here. This chaos is a direct result of our past disposition, which has been let it all fall apart. And now we're here in a tougher spot, so we need to heave and hoe together, get the diplomats and the national security people on board. There's some smart people behind this thing, and what we'll find at the end of this is a sort of a compromise in the middle.
Jason, good to see you. Thank you very much,
Great
sir.
to see you.
Appreciate your intel.
You betcha.